Hello everyone, this is DerekJ Speaks and I'm here to bring you a review of WWE Monday Night Raw from September 13th, 2021, live in Boston, Massachusetts. This is a review that I had absolutely no intention of bringing to you guys, but that all changed earlier in the day, earlier this afternoon, as of this recording, which is Monday, September 13th, when Big E posted a tweet on Twitter for the world to see, where he claimed that he intended on cashing in his Money in the Bank contract on Raw for the WWE Championship. And of course, on Raw, it was promoted that the WWE title would be defended when Bobby Lashley took on Randy Orton in the main event. And so, to spice things up a little bit heading into the show, Big E posted that he was going to show up on Raw and he was going to cash in. So that definitely got me a little more interested in watching Monday Night Raw, as it did for a few other people. And lo and behold, Big E is a man of his word. He went out there tonight at the end of the show. He cashed in on Bobby Lashley, who successfully retained his championship over Randy Orton in a very good match. Big E came out, he cashed in his Money in the Bank, and after a very brief match, it ended with Big E cashing in successfully and becoming the new WWE Champion. I can be completely honest with you, when I woke up this morning, I did not expect that I would go to bed at night knowing that Big E came out and cashed in Money in the Bank to become the new WWE Champion. So kudos to WWE for delivering a very big shocker. But the question is, why did this happen? What was the motivation for pulling the trigger on Big E randomly appearing on Monday Night Raw? Big E telling everyone all day that he was going to come to Raw and he was going to cash in, doing it all night long, saying that he was going to cash in, and then he does, and he's successful, and he becomes champion. There are reasons, there are theories, there are ideas as to why this decision was made, but we will get into them. But I want to preface this and stress that I am very happy for Big E. I have been a fan of Big E's for a very long time, all the way back to his days in NXT as the champion in the 5 count and that whole gimmick. I've been a fan of Big E's for a very long time, and I've been waiting to see this guy break out into the main event picture, get a spotlight, get a single spotlight of his own in the main event scene. And he hasn't been in the main event, but he has been upper card for the last few months on SmackDown. He eventually won the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that was a huge moment for him. A lot of fans supporting him. A lot of wrestlers, a lot of his colleagues supported him. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of love for Big E, and you could see that at the end of this show, and you could see that on Twitter, and I imagine you'll see a lot of it going forward. So I'm very happy for him. That moment was an incredible moment. It did feel a little rushed. It did feel a little bit out of nowhere. But again, we'll get into all of that real quick. If you like what you hear and if you like what you see, give this channel some love. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and follow me on Twitter at DerekJ Speaks. Let's get into this. So, there really isn't much else to say about it. This isn't a full breakdown of Monday Night Raw. This is just really specifically focusing on this moment of Big E cashing in Money in the Bank. But prior to that, we did have a WWE Championship match in the main event of this show. Bobby Lashley versus Randy Orton. This was a match that was originally penciled in for Extreme Rules. A week ago on the show, they had an entire show-long storyline where they had already announced Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton for Extreme Rules, and then by the end of the night, they announced a match for for this week's Monday Night Raw, where Bobby Lashley and MVP, who won a tag team gauntlet match, they would challenge Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, RK Bro, for the Raw tag team titles. And that was the big main event match set up for Raw a week ago. But a lot can change in 1 week, and a lot of different factors can come into play here that we all can speculate as to what attributed to not only the championship match being promoted, but also Big E cashing in Money in the Bank and why that was promoted. One reason comes to us from Dave Meltzer, I believe. He was one who reported it over the weekend, claiming that WWE went to combat AEW after AEW beat them in the demos, not overall ratings, almost got you there, but AEW Dynamite last Wednesday, scored one of its highest ratings ever. I believe it was a 1.3 rating, but more significantly, their ratings in the 18 to 49 demos scored higher than Monday Night Raw's. Maybe that spooked Vince McMahon a little bit, wanting him to pull the trigger on doing a championship match live on Raw. Could also be because they woke up one morning and thought, oh shit, Monday Night Football is returning this upcoming week, and this is tag team championship match. It's fine for another random week, but we're going up against football. Football's coming back. So let's put on a big main event. Let's put that WWE Championship match that we announced for the pay-per-view, let's bump it up and move it to TV. And there's also the idea, and I saw this rumor going around a little bit, is that because of the high ratings that SmackDown has been getting on Fox recently, including this past week when SmackDown was at Madison Square Garden, that show, which was one of the best episodes of WWE television, specifically main roster television, that we've seen all year, and I would throw in NXT as well, one of the best episodes of any WWE television program all year was that episode of SmackDown last Friday from Madison Square Garden. The ratings for that show were very high. The ratings for the show the previous week were very high. And maybe USA wanted to get in on the action of having some pretty good ratings for their show, Monday Night Raw, and they may have requested something big, and that pushed the direction of a championship match on the show. Any of those options are likely. There could also be options that I didn't even say, but whatever the reason, we got this on this show. So we get the match between Lashley and Randy Orton, which I thought was a pretty good match. I thought the two men worked very well together. Bobby Lashley, as the WWE champion these past few months, has been very impressive. Monday Night Raw is not a very good show overall, but I would look at someone like Lashley and his reign as champion, and I do not look at that as one of the weaker points of Monday Night Raw. Quite the contrary, Lashley's reign as champion has been one of the stronger points of the show. That, coupled with Randy Orton, who has had a seemingly career resurgence in popularity due to this pairing of him and Riddle and RK Bro, and now they're one of the most over acts on the entire show. You combine those two things and you get a championship match here, and it was a very hot match. The crowd in Boston was electric. They were really into Randy Orton. They were really rooting for Randy Orton to be the one to beat Lashley and win that championship. Heavy boos for Lashley all throughout the entire match. Big cheers for Randy. And I thought that made the atmosphere for this match so much better. So, in the match, we see Randy Orton. He has Lashley down and he goes for the RKO. Goes for it. Lashley slips out of it, hits the ropes, and comes off with a spear right to Randy Orton. Goes for the cover, only good for a 2 count. He picks Randy Orton up, goes to lock him in the Hurt Lock, but Randy struggles and squirms his way out of it, eventually hits him with the RKO. But after the beatdown that he has received throughout the entire match, He's not able to capitalize on it immediately. When he goes to cover Lashley, MVP on the outside kind of pulls Lashley away. Riddle, Randy Orton's partner, who's out there in his corner, he comes around, he confronts MVP, gets in his face. MVP has his back turned. He does not realize Randy Orton has left the ring and comes to the outside. Randy spins MVP around, RKO right on the floor. Randy gets back in the ring and immediately walks right into a spear from Lashley. Lashley gets the 1-2-3, retains the WWE Championship. After the match, Lashley goes on the attack. He beats down Matt Riddle, and he even plants Randy Orton through the announce table with a spinebuster slam type move. And that's significant because in doing so, Lashley tweaked his knee. He started favoring the knee, he started limping around ringside, and that was the cue. And I think everyone could pick up on what was about to happen next. I hope so, because it was being called all night. Big E's music hits. He comes out with the referee, with the briefcase, and it is an official cash in. The announcer says it. Big E is officially cashing in, and we're gearing up for this championship match, and they go to commercial. Because of course they do. I know why. I understand why. Go to commercial, give people time to tune in who aren't tuning in at that moment, tuning in to say, hey, we are serious about Big E cashing in. You're getting a second championship match right here. Show's not over. Championship match is coming up right now. So they get back from commercial. Lashley is not necessarily pleading with the ref, but he is stating his case as to why he's not defending his championship. He injured his leg. He's injured. He can't defend the title. Big E gets in Lashley's face and slaps the taste right out of his mouth. Then the bell rings. Lashley immediately takes Big E down, goes on the ground and pound, beats him down. Big E starts to make a comeback. They brawl for a little bit. Lashley goes for the spear, but it's only good for a 2 count. So then Lashley gets Big E up, tries to go for a maneuver once again, but then it's Big E who counters that, and he gets Lashley up, hits him with the big ending, and Big E gets the 1-2-3, and he wins the WWE Championship. The fans are going crazy. The rest of New Day comes out, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. They all come out, celebrate with him. Big emotional moment right in the middle of the ring. Like I said, I'm happy for him. It was a very special moment. It's special for me as a black wrestling fan to see another black WWE champion crowned. We go from one dominant black WWE champion to what will hopefully be another dominant black champion. And I think that's just really cool. In fact, to my knowledge, no, I was about to say this is the first time 2 black wrestlers competed for the championship, but no, there's been other instances of that happening. It happened this very year at Money in the Bank. We had Bobby Lashley and Kofi Kingston. But this is the first time, I believe, that a black world champion lost his championship to another black wrestler. So that's historic. But yes, as a big fan of Big E, I'm very happy for him. Like I said, whatever the reason, I know it felt rushed, and I could understand you if you do not feel the same emotion for it because it just came out of nowhere. There was no build to it. Big E was doing his own thing on SmackDown. He was terrorizing Paul Heyman every single week backstage. Too much hilarity, and to my delight, Big E's been doing his own thing, not really even teasing the idea of coming to Raw, although that has been speculated by some people on Twitter and online for the last few months, going all the way back to when Lashley beat the shit out of Kofi Kingston at Money in the Bank. There was an idea, there was a thought going around by many people speculating an idea of Big E cashing in Money in the Bank on Bobby Lashley to avenge his fallen brother. to win the WWE Championship from Bobby Lashley. And that would have been cool. That would have been a cool main event match for SummerSlam. But they went the Goldberg route. But now they came back around and Big E won the championship here. Speaking of Goldberg, he is relevant to this equation. Because now the question is, what's next for these two men? Obviously, I think the next destination would be a rematch between the two of them at Extreme Rules, probably with some kind of stipulation, although it doesn't necessarily need one. For a show called Extreme Rules, we don't always get matches with stipulations, but because they already had this one, I could see the rematch being some type of stipulation. Some type of no DQ, no holds barred situation. I don't know. I see Big E winning again in that match. Would I love to see him win clean? Of course I would. He didn't necessarily win clean here. There was more of a fight other than him cashing in and just hitting his move and winning. There was a bit of a tussle between the two, but Lashley had the leg injury and he can play off of that going forward, heading into the pay-per-view. But come Extreme Rules, when we get Lashley and Big E in their rematch, we could see Big E get the clean win, and that would be great. But what I could see coming is Lashley going for the win. He almost has the match won, and then out comes Bill Goldberg. There's unfinished business between Goldberg and Bobby Lashley coming off of that finish to their match at SummerSlam, where Lashley locked Goldberg's son in the Hurt Lock after injuring Goldberg's leg. We saw a few weeks later on Raw, Goldberg posted this video saying that he's coming for Lashley, and it's not about the championship, he's coming for Lashley. That caused speculation that either he's lying and he will come for that championship in Saudi Arabia, or they'll do a rematch, non-title perhaps. But now we're in the situation where that championship has been taken off of Bobby Lashley, and you want to reignite that match heading into the Saudi Arabia show in October next month. So how do you set it up? You do the rematch between Lashley and Big E at Extreme Rules. You have Goldberg come out, spear Lashley, screw him out of the championship. Boom, there you go. And you get Lashley and Goldberg 2 without a championship involved in Saudi Arabia. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't need to see Goldberg almost murdering Bobby Lashley again like he did at SummerSlam. But I can tolerate Goldberg wrestling a big match like that on a pay-per-view like that if I know that the WWE Championship has nothing to do with it. I don't even want to entertain the idea of a triple threat. I don't want to entertain the idea of Big E defending the championship against Goldberg. I know that is a match that Big E has requested in the past. And back when Big E was Intercontinental Champion, I thought, you know what? I would not mind seeing that match. Big E and Goldberg for the Intercontinental Championship. It's a mid-card championship. It's a high-profile feud, but it's not for the world title. It's not going to be in the main event, closing out the show or anything. That could be fine. But now that Big E is the WWE Champion, the likelihood of him and Goldberg interacting with that championship involved is now much higher than it was before. And I don't need to see that. I don't like that idea. I am perfectly fine with Big E defeating Lashley at Extreme Rules with an assist from Bill Goldberg to set up the rematch between Bill Goldberg and Bobby Lashley on the Saudi Arabia show in October without any championship involved whatsoever. After that, what's next for Big E? You got me there. I have no idea. But on this night, isolated, I'm very happy for Big E. I'm very happy to see a new champion crowned. Again, I liked Lashley as champion, but this show is not good. So shaking things up a little bit is nice. Is it going to work? Probably not. We go through this every year, so it probably will not work. But I'm willing to check it out and run with it. Let's see what Big E does as champion. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for joining me on this impromptu review of Monday Night Raw, although not really a review of Raw itself, but a review nonetheless. So thank you guys and have a good night.